website is theultimatedreamproject.com.
Ultimatedreamproject.com. That's the one I'm going to put up there. And today I want to ask you, why is it that things that we want to do in our life, that things that we think are part of our purpose or that we're supposed to do, you know, that word supposed to do next, don't always come easily? I thought it was all supposed to just flow. Like when you're on your path, it just comes and the next step opens and appears and it's just magically easy. Doesn't seem to work that way.
All right, well, there's a whole bunch of answers to that. So I'm trying to think of a way to, you know, say that to you in a really short period of time. The simple answer would be choice. The simple answer is that you're not choosing for it to be easy. I mean, that's like the really simple answer. And then you're like, well, I thought I was choosing it. But you're obviously not, because if it's not simple, then you're not choosing for it to be simple. So
it always comes back to we're the creators of our own universe.
Yeah, exactly. So if it's not coming to you really easily, then you have to kind of look at that and go, okay, wow, I chose this. And get into that energy of, you know, like, wow, I chose this. And then ask, now what do I choose? Now what am I willing to choose for me? What am I willing to choose for my business? How much ease am I willing to choose? Another thing is that we seem to really like challenges. We get bored really easily. So what if it's just a boredom thing? You know, what if you like the challenge? And what if once you've, you know, climbed, I don't know, Mount Everest, you're like, look at what I've done. I climbed Mount Everest. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh, you're all about the questions.
Yeah, I'm all about the questions. I'm all about the questions, being the space, knowing your greatness, and really opening up to the possibilities, but also totally taking responsibility for what's going on with you. You know, I have so many people who come to me and, you know, they're kind of on the back burner of their life because they really feel like everyone else and everything else is dictating what's going on, especially their environment, the economy, you know, the weather, where they live, their lack of money, too much money, their position, their gender, their sexuality, whatever. But what if that's not the case? What if it is all choice?
If we choose things and somehow not conscious of that because we think we're choosing something different, like we want our ideal life, we want, you know, to be successful, the perfect spouse, the perfect relationships, the best kids, and our life isn't like that. How can we realign our subconscious choices with our intention and our choice?
Well, I think the first thing is to be really clear as to what it is that you do really want, and be really honest with yourself about what you want and what you like really super honest. So, I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind is my daughter. She's having some issues at the moment. And I said to her, but you must love this situation. And she's like, I don't. And I said, but you have to love it because you keep doing it. And I said, and if you don't love it, then, you know, you just keep choosing this whole situation over and over and over again. I said, because we keep having the same discussion over and over and over again. And you've either, there's got to be something that you like about it, or you choose differently. So, you know, she's all, I want it different. I want it different. How can I have it different? It's never going to be different. But she's not really choosing, and she's not willing to be demanding and to have the attitude of, I'll do whatever it takes to have what I would really like. Because, let's see, one of the major issues I have with people, especially people who I worked with in the past that weren't in business, was that they would live their lives for 5 to 10 people. Literally, most people live their lives for around 5 people, which means they never, ever, ever truly do what it is that they want to do in life. They don't make the choices. They don't take the action. They don't hold back in certain things, or say no or say yes to things in life, because they're gauging how it's going to affect these other people in their lives that they care about. Normally that's, family. Sometimes it can be friendships and relationships. And I've even seen that sometimes in people in business, because I tend to attract people in business that are like me, that are, really coming from the heart, that are really caring, and who genuinely would like to see happy people around them. But sometimes you have to make really hard choices, and this is what my daughter is dealing with at the moment. She has to choose between either her happiness or someone else's happiness, and she's not willing to sacrifice someone else's happiness for her own. Which is a great quality, but at the same time, to me, I see it as a great detriment to her, and I find it difficult. And then I walked away from this going, okay, well, what do I love about this situation? And wow, I created this, and what if I could, choose something different, and what else is possible, and what can I choose now? Because I keep coming across her telling me how she's doing this and how she has to forsake her happiness for someone else. And I'm just like, oh, why? Why, when you have me as a mother, can't you just choose to be happy?
It sounds so easy. I know, and you make it sound so easy. Just choose to be happy and live for yourself.
Yeah.
And, I think we're just so caught up in some things. Most of us, we don't even realize what we're caught up in. And it's almost like you have to take yourself out of one reality and just leapfrog into the next, because if you try to figure it out, if you try to change all the details of your life, that will never work. You literally have to just choose differently.
Yeah, you do. You have to choose differently. And you can't be responsible for other people's happiness. That's the thing. And I think we've all learned, society teaches us really, really well that we are responsible for other people's happiness. Now, I'm not saying to her, oh, go out and be mean. It's not like I'm saying, oh, go thump someone on the head or something. That's not what I'm saying, and that's not what I teach my clients. I don't teach them how to be, sharks or piranhas or anything, because I'm never going to get a client like that. I'm never going to get a client who can even emulate any of those characteristics whatsoever, because that's not what I'm about. So it's just not going to happen. But there's a real difference between hurting yourself to make someone else happy and, doing what's going to make you feel good and make you happy at, when someone else is going to be upset because of it. There's a line. Are you going to, be mean to someone else? Or are you going to be mean to you?
Where I think some people struggle is the piece on how does that work in relationship when we're used to compromise, and you have to live with somebody else and make it all work. It seems like you've got to do some compromise, or you have to sacrifice yourself sometime for the happiness of another. I hate to use that word in your presence, but explain to me how you can dance around the relationship piece and still always put yourself first.
Well, I think you need to look at how much the other person is putting into it as well. I mean, I'm not against compromise, and I'm not saying, oh, don't ever do anything that, I don't know, that doesn't feel that great, or that you wouldn't. I mean, if you love someone, you're naturally going to do more for that person than you would if you didn't. You just naturally would. But it's not fair on you or me if you and I do that for someone else, and they're just doing whatever, and they're, making no effort whatsoever and expecting you to make all the compromises, because then that is a sacrifice. A lot of people divorce themselves to be in a relationship. I mean, is that really being in a happy relationship if you're actually really divorcing yourself?
Does it come
from yourself?
Does it come back maybe to how we feel about the action? Because, for instance, if we're doing something for someone else and we do it out of love, we're not sacrificing ourselves. We're doing because that action brings us joy.
Yeah, and that's a really good place to do it. But if you're doing it so that the other person stays, or you're doing it so that the other person doesn't get unhappy or stressed or upset or whatever, then that's not a good thing. Because then that's compromising you. Then that's divorcing you from you. I mean, say, I don't know, Michelle, say you really liked watching romantic films and spiritual films, and your partner was like, I forbid you to because they give you funny ideas, and, and then if you said, okay, well, I won't do that because you said, and, I have to, because you're my husband or you're my partner, or, we're living together, and then you stopped watching them even though they gave you something and they, uplifted you and gave you ideas and, really supported you, then that would be you kind of divorcing yourself and sacrificing something really essential for you, that was essential for you, for someone else's happiness.
And how does that translate into business now? Because this is going on Conscious Livelihood, which is all about how do we make a living doing what we love? How do we live consciously? How do we pay our bills and live our passions?
Okay, well, I would say that the first thing is to be really, really super clear on what you'd like your life to look like. Who do you want to be working with? What are those people like? I'm not, wanting you to name them and do the textbook thing, but just perceive the energy of working with those people. How much ideally you'd like them to be paying you for what you're doing. What exactly are you doing? How much fun is that? How easy is that for you to do that? How much joy and pleasure are you getting from that? How much money do you have coming in each month? Look at, the only physical thing I'd say to look at is how much your outgoings are at the moment, and then add luxuries to it. Add exotic food. I mean, that's what I would do. I'm really into eating. Travel expensive, training expenses, because I love to continue training and learning information all the time. I'm just like an encyclopedia and sponge for it and suck it all up. And, just holidays, having fun, and figure out what that amount is, and then be earning in excess of that, and then perceive the energy of that and where you'd like to live, and, what kind of business you'd like to have, and then perceive that energy of how that feels, and then let that kind of guide you. There's a process that I teach called the energy ball, and we use that a lot, and it's kind of like matching the energy, but you just need to be clear that it's really, really yummy and that you're doing it for you. I think one of the biggest myths and fallback points for people who are trying to do conscious living is they think they have to do it for other people. They think if they're telling the universe, oh, I want this retreat center because I want to have an easier life and I'd like, to live in this house in the country with a white picket fence. And then I'll just say that, it'll be great for all these other people because everyone who comes to me is going to have, healing and yada, yada. And so I'll be doing it for them. So universe, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. When actually they're not saying give it to me, give it to me. They're actually saying I don't deserve it, but I think these other people outside of me that I don't know that might come to me deserve it, and they deserve the healing, so that's why you should give me this house in the country with a white picket fence. And the universe is like, really? Because the universe wants you to be honest and integral and be like, what? I'd really like to have a house with a white picket fence in the country, please. Thank you very much. And
Angela, I have so many questions, but we're out of time. I want to have you back so we can talk about the energy ball, so we can talk about where does service fit into this. We're always told service is such a big part of living spiritually, and I want you to answer that, but I'm going to have you back next time. Thanks so much. UltimateDreamProject.com. Thanks for being on Conscious Livelihood.
Thank you very much. Mwah.